Welcome to the Biz Kids Podcast, where young entrepreneurs rise, shine, and redefine what is possible. Ready to launch your business? Well, buckle up. We're about to launch. Welcome to the Biz Kids Podcast. I'm your host, JD Rabali, and today with us, we have Dan Oberski with Trinity Commercial Group. Dan has been in the real estate business and an entrepreneur for quite a while, and we want to hear his story. But as we always start off, Dan, give us your 60-second pitch of who you are and what you do.
I'm Dan Oberski with Trinity Commercial Group. I'm married to one smoking hot little 5'3" lady who is the mother of 4 by nature and adopted 2. I work in the dirt business, which is basically real estate and consulting for both large land transaction and government services. And then I help to lead our company at Trinity Commercial Group, where we've got offices in Boca, Tampa, Jacksonville, and Estero, Florida.
And everybody wants to be in the real estate business, so you must have said, oh, this is going to be cool. Everybody's doing this. I got to do this and jump in there. Let's go back in our little time machine. Let's go back to when you were a kid. How did you get this entrepreneur spirit? Did you have it as a kid? Did you have like a little side hustle that you were doing?
That's a great question. JD, I was told a while ago, probably 8 to 10 years ago, that every kid who's in the entrepreneurial world has brokenness from their past. And I struggled as a little kid. I had seizures when I was 4 to 6 years old. I couldn't read at a grade level until I was in the 5th grade and was finally catching up into middle school. But I certainly, in that brokenness, desired to excel and succeed. My dad was a campus minister and a pastor. So I thought myself to be in a position of poverty. I really wasn't. But I didn't know any different at that point. And so I knew that if I wanted new jeans or new tennis shoes, I was going to have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So I did. I knocked on some doors and started cutting grass as a kid. And from 8 years old until I was out of high school, I did anything I could to hustle. In Michigan, there's only a short season of grass, but there's certainly snow. There's fall where you can rake leaves, and there's always lemonade stands, as you referenced, to find some extra change.
Well, and that's how I started. I actually, I don't know if you know this, but I started mowing lawns as a kid, and I had a lawn care company for 23 years. So it turned into a full-time gig for me. And so, yeah, getting out there and actually doing that hustle to get something that you want is the way we started as a kid. What was probably your best, or what's the one that you enjoyed the most as a kid? And not everybody enjoys mowing lawns, but
I was reward oriented, right? So my favorite part was simply the reward. I wasn't necessarily driven off of great purpose, but just from a function of capital. Is I wanted to have resources to control my destiny. I had a vision to go to University of Michigan, which I knew there was no chance in the world my family could afford. And so I had to go out and push that lawnmower. So the things that were most rewarding to me is what was going to have the greatest payoff. So I loved rolling up to a lawn that was 18 to 24 inches and was going to take 4 hours to mow, because I knew that instead of the normal $10 to $20, I was going to get $40 to $50. So those were my big jobs.
Awesome. And then when you went into college, you said you want to go to the Michigan, and when you got to school, did you find a side hustle there, or did you get a job, or how did you kind of balance that to make sure you had the money in your pocket to do with the things you wanted to do?
I didn't know what I was going to do. I had the first year and a half saved up, JD, and it was expensive to go to Michigan. And so I got a cold call on my dorm, the things that spin like this, those type of phones.
The rotary phones?
That's right, the rotary phone. I took that call in my room, and there was an interview process to be what was called a territory manager for a company called ColorWorks. And the job of ColorWorks was learn how to quote, paint, and sell paint business during the summer. And you had to start during your spring break, where you'd get trained, you'd go pitch to win business, and you'd have to hire your crews. And that first spring break, instead of going to Daytona Beach, I went to every cold home I could find that looked like it needed a paint job. And I started selling paint jobs. And I did that from my freshman year. Then I was one of the top 3 producers, and became a regional manager. And then I recruited territory managers like myself, and I did that through my junior year. And then before my senior year, decided that if I was going to get into real estate, which if I roll back to when I was a kid, my grandpa, I had seen him, and I used to tell folks that when I grow up, I'm going to move to Bonita Springs and be a realtor, which I'm pretty sure was like some edge of a con artist and a real estate guy. So that's what I did during college that paid the bills until my senior year. And I actually made good money during my senior year wrapping up that and selling real estate.
That's funny you say that because we were just at the homeschool convention in Orlando, and we had a pitch competition there, kind of like a Shark Tank style pitch
Yep.
competition. And I had a student that was 15 years old. He went out and he sells paint jobs to the local people in his neighborhood, and then he hires a paint crew to do the work. And the paint crew is a professional paint crew, but he's the one that set it up. He's the one that goes out there and hustles and gets the work, and then he gives them the job to make sure it gets done right. And so
A paint broker.
paint broker, yeah, and 15
No
years
kidding.
old. Yeah.
I
So
love it.
he was averaging $4,000 profit per job that he was
Wow.
selling. So you never know. There's opportunities all around us. You always have to be looking for what can I do? Where's there a need that needs to be filled? And so that's awesome. So you
Yeah.
graduate college and you decide, okay, was it right away? You're like, hey, I'm gonna get into the real estate business, or did you I'm gonna stay with the painting business?
Well, I had gotten my license during my senior year and started selling real estate. And during my senior year, I made $36,000, which was almost as much as my dad made that year as a pastor. And I had met that cute blonde I referenced earlier during my sophomore year, after my sophomore year. And I graduated, got married, moved to Southwest Florida, actually worked in a partnership with my father-in-law. And then after 9 months said, I'm not making any money and I don't like the marketing business. It was just a straight marketing consulting business. And so I got my license down in Florida in 2004 and started doing residential real estate. And that was really good times. We worked with friends and family. But as you referenced, good times aren't really what make us. It's the hard times that come from that. We grew that. I had 15 people on a residential real estate team, and we were buying, selling, flipping homes. And we taught the market how to lose money on real estate. We realized that there was a short period coming that was going to probably not continue upwards and go down, and so we stopped selling to friends and family, and that cut off our cash flow. And it made it so that we had to do our first short sale in 2006 on our own personal home. We had to try and protect our investors, which didn't work, by the way. We lost our home to a short sale, and then had multiple short sales we had to negotiate and navigate through. And that was a long haul. But that's also what got us into commercial real estate. So in the midst of that kind of failure, we went to go refinance an investment property that we had with a banker. And that banker said, this was I'll use nicer terms than maybe he used, a really bad decision, Dan. And, but I like you. Why don't you meet my friend? And he introduced me to a Max Mazzone, who introduced me to another guy, and they spoke way over my head. And so I had a lot of learning to do, but that got me to working for a company called Winn-Dixie Grocery Stores, where I was representing them to do site selection. And that led me to working for a company called CBRE, which is the largest commercial brokerage firm in the world. And I thought I had nailed it. It was 2007. It was the peak of the commercial business. And I started to represent Fifth Third Bank and 7-Eleven and Winn-Dixie and Goodwill and all of these clients. We had a big book of business. And right as I thought I was finding a way up, the rest of the commercial market disappeared. So we were renting, we were living on credit cards, and by 2010, almost 4 years of hustling, I turned to my wife and I said, "Hey, love, Costco pushing carts on the weekends? Like, what do you want me to do? I'm not sure what to do." And she said, "We prayed about it. We felt like God had led us to that opportunity." And she said, I think we've got to keep pushing forward. Well, January of 2010 came along, and we had $17 in all three of our bank accounts. By the way, that's not called diversity in finances. That's called broke. And we had to borrow money from friends to pay our rent and buy groceries that month. And by the grace of God, February, March, and through the rest of that year, the lights kind of turned on in the commercial business. And we made enough money to pay our bills. And then 2011, we started uptick. Again, by the grace of God, we had over $50,000 of credit card debt. And we had prayed about whether or not we were to file bankruptcy. We chose not to, just from a conviction, personal conviction. And God provided a mechanism for us to slowly pay back credit cards, pay back our friends and family. But it took a while. It was till 2015 before we were able to buy a home again. And we went from foreclosing home to foreclosing home to try and save money and get the least rent we could possibly pay. And
All with 4 kids or 6 kids at the time?
Well, so 2010, Kristen was pregnant with our fourth. And then in 2011, so one of the other tweaks is, as we just started to roll, 2011, CBRE pulled their flag from our market. And so we didn't intend to, but we started Trinity Commercial Group in that year. And my team of 4 came with me. And in 2013, we were reintroduced to the idea that we had been adopted by Christ, and that we felt like at that point we had emotional, physical, financial, spiritual capacity to invite another kid into our home. And we met our son, Alexander, who goes by Alex. And Alex, so that became number 5 in 2013. Alex turns 22 next month. And number 6 came along. She's turning 8 this month. So when she was about 8 months old. So that was some of our business side of things. But if I'm totally transparent, JD, that the adoption and the work with Better Together to get to know Taraji totally transformed our mindset on the purpose of business and understanding like whose resources these are. As we work, why are we doing it, for who, and to what end? And that has been the rest of the last 10 years or so of navigating that. But 6 kids, I think, came until 25. I said 2017, 18.
Oh, wow.
Was our 6th bonus.
Yeah, that's quite the, from jumping from house to house after, losing it and trying to keep the rent and try to keep kids fed. I'm sure that was a very stressful time. As we always talk to our kids, is entrepreneurship is about celebrating the failures. There are going to be failures along the way, and it's how you navigate those and how you figure, instead of letting it knock you down and having you quit, you just have to look for other options and other opportunities. And I think that's a great testament to that as well. So now Trinity Commercial Group, how many employees do you guys have right now?
Within our team, I think we're at like 52.
52. And you said not only Southwest Florida, you're all over the state of Florida?
Yeah, we've got 4 offices now. So they're smaller offices. Most of our folks are in Southwest Florida, but we've got 6 people in Boca, a person and soon to be 2 people in our Jacksonville office, and a small single-person office in Tampa as well.
So, when you move down to Southwest Florida, we're not from Florida as well. We came from Oregon, the Pacific Northwest, and we were new to this area. And when we got down here, the market that was about 2015. It was growing, not like the growth that we had during COVID, but everybody that moves down here seems to want to get into real estate. So what advice would you say to all these people that are coming down here? They're kind of in that semi-retirement. They don't want to have a full-time job. They want to sit by the pool most of the time and sell a house here and there. What do you say to people that actually are trying to break into the real estate market down here?
Well, if we're talking to kids, we're talking to retirees, it's probably 2 different things. But if I'm talking to kids, it's like planting a seed for us, it was like a mango tree. It took a while, right? The first year that seed sprouts, it's cute, but it's really unproductive. And we've had a mango tree that on its 5th year produced its first round of fruit. And that's what my business, and specifically the commercial business, is. It's a lot of seed planting. It's a lot of nurturing of relationships. It's a lot of growth and competency, right? So most of my clients are smarter than me. The best that I can do is get good at the one little category that they don't have their natural competency in. We work for Lee County School District and other government agencies, and they very much know how to educate students. So I learn about facilities, development, dirt, underlying wetlands, roadways. I do the things that they don't have time to do while they're doing the important aspect of teaching kids how to do what they do. But if you're wanting to get into real estate, the residential real estate is a much more it's an earlier entry. It's a quicker turn. And so it's certainly a way that you can learn the business. You learn to negotiate price, and that's about it. And the average price you get to negotiate is 1 to 3%. So mostly it's support and service, right? So if you can learn to care for others and really want to honor somebody above yourself, that's the whole intent in the kind of the residential area. Is, hey, JD, you're about to make the biggest investment you've ever made. We're about to sell the biggest investment you've ever had. And trust me, I can help you through that process. And for heaven's sakes, there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of process, and there's a lot of potential risk that's out there. And so just working to honor the person that is around, that you come in contact with, that has a real need associated to them, where I need to get to Orlando for my new job. I need to adjust because, shoot, didn't realize that God was going to give me a fifth kid and we were only in 2 bedrooms, right? And so navigating that. So that's the entry, much like you referenced a 60-second elevator pitch. It's also who you know, how you speak to them, and what you want to do. In commercial business, we kind of joke that you better like the boxing business, because you get punched in the face a bunch and you have to say, thank you, can I have some more? It's a lot of failures. It's a lot of getting up from the ground and realizing that, hey, I clearly didn't know what I was doing on that time. Let me learn and advance my education and how I serve others.
Well, and the other point you made is it really was about relationships for you, right? It's once you had a banker that was willing to talk to you, and he even didn't like the idea of your business, thought it was a bad choice on your part. He still made an introduction to you to let you know somebody else that could help you. That again,
right.
You said that was smarter than you, that knew more than you, and that's what you have to look for. Is how many introductions can you get, and how many people can you meet along the way that can help educate you and help you kind of in that whole process.
Yeah.
So you have 6 kids. So how do you teach your kids about entrepreneurship and business? And have you seen in your kids like that spirit, or are they looking at other aspects of their development?
Each one of our kids and each person we come in contact with, I think, is something to be honored for who they've been made to be. And so I don't actually pretend that everybody is intended to be an entrepreneur. I pretend that everybody's capable of it if they want to endure it. It is not made for all people, but it is everyone is capable of doing it. And so of the 6 kids that I have, I'm going to guess that maybe 1 or 2 of them really have the pure entrepreneurial spirit to start something. The desire and willingness to endure failure is actually a component of being a pure entrepreneur. And then the downside is the boredom, right? So I just can't stomach sitting and doing one thing. I'm hungry, and I'm curious, right? Like those are aspects of a traditional entrepreneur. Is they're hungry. They want to either obtain or attain something, knowledge or competency or possessions or service, and it can be for good. But I'm guessing my son Alex is probably going to get there. That he's probably going to be one who overcomes some of the hardship that he did as a kid, and he's super smart, and has a tiny bit of laziness, which means he wants to substantially succeed and then do nothing. And that actually isn't a horrible thing at times, but he's very capable. My daughter, Sydney, loves serving and loving others. That's not really an entrepreneurial pure nature. She just wants to make people feel good. And entrepreneurs normally aren't making people feel good, especially themselves. My daughter, Maddie, maybe, just because she sees gaps in problems and wants to execute them. Ellie is a super creative young lady. She's probably the second most likely to be a pure entrepreneur. She just sees problems, and she's intuitive on knowing how to attack them. Hudson is that care and compassion person, not expecting that he's going to do that, but just because he doesn't like getting told what to do. He might be a home builder or run a trades business, which is very entrepreneurial in itself. And then Taraji, I think she's going to be the next president, or first young lady president.
Nice. Now, relationship-wise, did your wife, along this whole process, did she have that entrepreneur spirit that when you were saying, "Hey, I'm going to go buy this property and I got to take this money out to do this," was she like, "Yes, let's do it," or was she like, "Hey, we got babies to feed"?
Yes, would be the answer. Yeah, both of those things. Her nature is to care and to create a safe space in our home, and yet she also is immensely supportive and trusting me, and I don't make decisions unilaterally. So as a husband, I believe that I'm to honor my wife, and so we talk through, we pray through, and we make decisions together. And so if there's going to be a chance that I'm risking our home or our other investment strategies, then I'm pulling my wife in, and just like she pulls me into big conversations on kids, I pull her into every conversation on business. We are truly partners. Her willingness to put up with me shows me that she's got an entrepreneurial spirit in that sense.
Yeah. Well, what last advice would you give parents on to helping their kids, like kind of identifying if they're an entrepreneur or jumping into business? If the kids have this idea and they're like really trying to pursue it, what would you tell the parents on how to encourage that?
Celebrate failure. Much like you referenced, I heard the comment that I had never processed before is every time I succeed, I learn nothing. It simply affirms what I already know. But when I fail, all my faults and all my weaknesses are exposed. That's a great opportunity to transform and become something more than what you are.
That's a great way to end it. Well, we appreciate you being on the show, Dan. And if you want to get your kids involved with the Biz Kids, you can find us at bizkidsusa.org. And we have an online training program there. If you're in Southwest Florida, we host events where kids can actually get out, sell their products, win money for their ideas. We have pitch competitions, like Shark Tank style type competitions where they can actually get a little money to reinvest into their business. So check us out online and find out more. Dan, thanks for being here. Enjoy your vacation. Thanks for taking a little time to be with us today. And we'll see you next time on the Biz Kids podcast.
Thanks so much.